Hey, Andy here from buildahottub.com. In this video, we're going to look at how we can add a water feature to our DIY hot tubs. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so there's different types of water feature that we can add to our DIY hot tub. Fundamentals are pretty much the same. So in terms of the considerations, how big are these water features actually going to be? How much space do they need? How much flow of water do they need to operate correctly? If there's not enough flow, your waterfall is just going to drip rather than actually cascade into your hot tub. How are we going to control them in terms of turning them on or off, or adjusting the actual flow rate? Too much flow, for example, in a waterfall, and you could have a horizontal jet of water shooting out of that waterfall. So you need to be able to adjust the flow rate into the water feature. And how are we going to switch them on and off? Is there a valve or is there a button that we're going to use? Again, these are all considerations that we need to think about when we're going to add them to our DIY hot tubs. So how do these water features actually connect into the plumbing? Well, it's pretty simple. Normally you would just tee into, with a T-piece, the water lines. From the water lines you would then add either a ball valve or a gate valve to be able to manually reduce the flow. And then if you're going to have some kind of control mechanism, that's going to go next, and we'll take a look at that shortly. And then you would have the plumbing pieces into your water feature. Now you've got to be careful because some of them are metric, some are imperial, so you may need to use some reducing bushes to actually get that plumbing to all fit together. It's pretty straightforward though. You're coming straight out of that water feed into your water feature via a control unit and a reducing valve. Okay, so in terms of controlling the flow, there's really only a couple of options to look at here. We're either going to use a ball valve or we're going to use an adjustable gate valve, not a slide valve, because a sliding gate valve is really on or off. There's kind of no in between. So you do need one of the adjustables that you can actually screw to adjust the flow of the water into your water feature. Now, if you're looking to turn your water feature on and off, maybe with a switch electrically, then you're going to need to use what's called a solenoid valve. So this is what a solenoid valve looks like. It's a metal valve with a couple of connectors here so that you can apply electrical current to it that will turn it either on or off. Now, the state of the solenoid valve depends on the type that you've purchased. There are two different types. Normally open means that when there's no power connected to it, the valve is totally open and your water can flow through the valve. And please note, there's always a direction of flow on the solenoid valves as well. A normally closed solenoid valve is the opposite. So when there's no power on that unit, your water can't flow, it's switched off. You've got to think how you're going to use your water feature. Will it be on most of the time, or are you only going to switch it on when you're in the hot tub, for example? If you're only going to use it for small periods of time, then the best option is using a normally closed, so that you're only using current to open the valve, letting the water flow and switching on that water feature when you're actually going to use it. Okay, so how do we attach the plumbing to the solenoid valve? Well, here is what, in my case, the connection would look like. So on this side, I have a 1.5 inch socket. So I'm going to come in with 1.5 inch pipe. Now, normally our pipe for water is 2 inch. So I'm actually going to reduce it down for this. And I'm going to have one of these on both sides. So let's take a look at how I've actually made this connection, because it's made up of a number of different fittings that allow me to take the 1.5 inch feed and reduce it down to be able to go through the 1 inch solenoid valve. So let's take a look at those parts now. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with a 1 inch socket that on the other side I've got a 1 inch thread connection, so that's actually going to screw into the solenoid valve. Now, to connect the 1 inch socket, I'm going to need a small piece of 1 inch pipe, which will drop in there just like so, and I'm going to then need to take the 1.5 inch socket. I'm going to reduce that down with a reducing bush down to a 1 inch connection, and I'm just going to leave it out there so you can see how that works. and then the small piece of 1-inch pipe will go into that bush there, and we have our connection. So now all of this would be nicely glued together. I'd probably use a bit of PTFE tape on the thread here because I'm mixing a metal thread and a plastic connector, so it's always good practice to use PTFE tape. And I'm then going to just thread that into my solenoid valve. So I'll have a 1.5-inch socket on either side. Easy as that. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. If you've liked this video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. See you on the next video.